Hello again.
Hello.
Hello, Lisa.
Hello, Andrew.
We return to Doctor Who the early years,
Yes.
where we left off. And where we left off was page 106.
Yes.
I know that.
You've just checked.
Yes. And thus, the rescue, because when we recorded the first part,
It hadn't been shown.
the rescue had not been shown, but
We
now
didn't want any
we're about
spoilers.
to we're approaching the end of Patrick Troughton on Twitch, aren't we? So,
Yeah.
but here's some more design drawings. Doctor Who Series L. So there's the thing in the wall with the ring in it. A ring in the wall. And there's Vicky having a hug from Quillian. I don't remember that happening in the episode, but I think that's more of a publicity thing. But here's the UK 201 spaceship front elevation, and there is the lettering, actual size. But what have we got? Plans and elevation showing design and construction of rocket ship. Several types of shot will be required. The first establishing long shot will be high angle as shown on enclosed diagram. Remaining shots will be close-ups. I'd have to go back and see whether that was true. But there's the finished model. Cracked in several places. Again, there's a fair old bit of detail gone into something that's only on screen for a few minutes, and there's the sort of satellite dish that goes round. And another drawing of it. Love the idea that the UK's still got a space rocket programme.
Or has ever had a space rocket programme.
There's Ray Cusick grinning with a Dalek.
Looking cheerful.
And that's a picture of a pepper pot. Well, actually it's a salt pot if you look quite closely, because there's salt in it. But,
Yes.
taking the lid off the Daleks. Note the black background above the lift. A help to the inlay operator, whose equipment will give the illusion of the lift moving. So yeah, the lift never actually moves in that shot. It's all done with camera trickery. Inlay, of course, being the early equivalent of green screen or colour separation overlay, as we might call it. But there is Ray Cusick's first design drawing for the Dalek machine. And the idea was it was sort of static, and it had arms that moved up and down through sort of wires and stuff like that, which is fine until you realise it has to move. So here's a later version. It's a little more familiar, but I think the idea there is that all the circles have sort of different probes and things inside that come out. But yeah, it's still not quite what we end up with. And here's another design drawing. It's almost there, except if you look, the plunger and exterminator are on different levels. The guns above and the plungers below, which is not quite what we ended up with. But, there you go. There. Here's the Dalek. What have we got? Oh yes, how to tell in rehearsal which Dalek is doing what. The answer is you stick numbers on them with big bits of paper and give them all different coloured rolls of sellotape in their sort of the sort of metal thing above the gun. And people saw these photos and thought they were speaker grills. So there's some Daleks, sort of toys, that have got that roll of sellotape actually incorporated in the design. But there's Dalek number 4. But yes, otherwise how can you tell them apart? There's Ray with a cardboard cutout Dalek, and at the time that was just to fill the sort of background shots out, wasn't it?
Yes.
But it's the sort of thing that people sell and buy these days, and they're called standees, aren't they?
Standees, yes.
There's the Black Dalek and control room from Dalek Master Plan, the meeting room where all the alien delicates are banging.
Delicates?
The alien delicates. That's what I've called them in my blog. Where
Right.
they're banging on the table.
Okay.
Here is the original model for the Dalek City, because of course the Dead Planet was actually recorded twice. The first attempt, there was a load of sound problems on it. You kept picking up the feedback from the I think from the control gallery or something like that, so you kept on hearing cue and cut.
Alright.
I mean, you hear it on some episodes
Yes.
even now, but I think this one was absolutely riddled with it, and they rejected it. And the upshot was that the first attempt at the model, Ray Cusick wasn't very happy with what had been built, because he'd given them a sort of sketch, and they'd literally followed the sketch and not added anything to it. So then he had another go for the re-recording, and you get a much more complicated model being produced. So yes, in some ways that gave them a chance to improve things. There's another drawing. What have we got next? Oh, Roma. Ray Cusick's sort of paper and cardboard model for Rome. Because yeah, sometimes you'd have to make 3D models just to sort of work out where all the cameras would go and things like that. There's a load of columns. I don't know quite what that design is. It's sort of almost the seal of Rassilon, isn't it? But not quite. And as I think Christopher Barry says, the only thing wrong there is the chairs, because of course you'd be lying about on chaise lounges.
But I didn't have the room.
But they didn't have the room in the studio.
Okay.
There's the Doctor and Vicky with the Doctor's lyre.
Well, actually, it's probably Maximum Pentalic, whatever his name is.
And here's the design drawing for the lyre. Note it said at the top of the thing, Doctor Who ? Turtle shell lyre, make 2 off. One for VTR, one for rehearsal. There you go. See, everything has to be made, and there's the vase amphora thing. Is it an amphora? Yes, that's what it says. I think it's the one that Vicky clonks on the assassin's head. There's Ian having a good old row with Delos. And yes, they're chucking buckets of water at the actors for when the galley starts to sink. So there's the fight scene. And oh yes, was it Vicky about to administer the crowning glory, as it says in the notes? The chase. Well, there's the mechanoid city. I think the chase went down well with people.
You think so?
There's the haunted house. I mean, it is a silly story, but
Yes. There's some really serious bits in it there. As we said
nothing wrong with it.
before.
Here's the drawings for the mechanoids, and these are really quite complicated. Here's a question for you, Lisa. How many wheels of the mechanoids got, do you reckon?
How many wheels?
At the bottom.
I don't know.
They've actually got 6 wheels
Okay.
in 2 rows of 3. So that's how they managed to nip about so
But they weren't that easy to move.
speedily. But that's how you get into a mechanoid. You open it up like that. And there is Christopher Barry, director of part of the first Dalek story, and the rescue, and the Romans, and the savages, and the demons, and the Brain of Morbius. And in fact, that's a shot from the Brain of Morbius where he's playing. Now, we can have this argument, but at the time it was possibly an earlier incarnation of the Doctor.
Yes. It's unlikely to be Morbius, isn't it?
Yeah, as we've said, Morbius probably wouldn't have had the sense of humour to wear a silly hat like that.
Yes.
I would like a hat like that. Here's some photos from the filming of The Savages. Stephen going for a walk, and everybody at the catering van getting their sausage rolls or whatever. Gosh, Lots of writing. Mission to the Unknown. There is, well, you probably know what that is. The recording that's made to be sent back to Earth was sort of sent off as a rocket, supposedly, with a BBC tape recorder inside. Though isn't it that what he records in Mission to the Unknown isn't quite the same that gets played back in
the message changes
in Dalek Master
So,
Plan? I don't know quite how that's meant to work.
Well, I think they made a mistake.
But yeah, there's Mavic Chen's spaceship from the Dalek Master Plan. So there's a bit of footage of it landing, isn't there? Sort of twizzling round.
Yes.
And here's the model of the Dalek base with all the other spaceships parked. I love the idea that like one Dalek had to tell them where to park. And I do, as I've said in the blog, because I did a little piece about Dalek Master Plan. Was it yesterday? Yes. I say about have they got a revolving restaurant at the top of that thing? Because it does look a bit like the post office tower, doesn't it?
A little
bit. Interview with Carol Ann Ford. There she is there with a cup of tea or coffee. I don't know which that is. There she is as Susan. Nice group shot from the Sensorites. Which one is the Doctor? The one with the white hair. As has become a bit of a catchphrase. Susan and the Doctor. There's the Dalek city with the sort of the front bit of the picture is the real set, and then as you go further in there's a sort of forced perspective backdrop thing there to indicate it sort of works, except when people walk in front of it and cast shadows on it, and then it doesn't work quite as well. But there's everybody having their meal in the Romans, ants, eggs and all that. There's the savages, and there are some savages in the bushes, and Doctor Who with his reacting vibrator, as it's known. Funny, that was never seen again.
Yes.
Quillian and Vicky there again. More stuff from the savages. And there's the list of everybody that worked on the Hartnell years. To whom we are, of course, very grateful.
Yes. And before we finish, we should just say about William Hartnell and what a superb Doctor he is.
I mean, yeah, he's absolutely wonderful. The idea that you could record that show virtually continuously, week in, week out, you know, that would tax an awful lot of actors.
Yes.
But yeah, Hartnell's wonderful, and I'm so glad that everybody's discovered Hartnell.
How good he is.
Yeah.
Yes.
But just when you thought this book was over, I remember the excitement when you turned the page and suddenly
got the regeneration.
You saw The Power of the Daleks by David Whittaker, episode 1. And I think this was the first time we ever saw the telesnaps, or even were aware that such a thing existed. And although so much of the Troughton area is still missing, we still have the telesnaps to show us what it looked like when it was on the telly. But yeah, we're into Troughton now.
Well, we're on the last day of Troughton.
And yes, Troughton's sort of gone by in a flash, hasn't it?
Yeah, because unfortunately not as much of Troughton exists as the Hartnell stuff.
Well, it's better than it was, and we'll talk about that in a subsequent video.
Yes.
But yes, there's the Power of the Daleks, and Martha wailing in the background.
Nobody's paying attention to us.
Poor Martha.
Mama.
Are we not loving you enough?
No, I'm paying attention to books, aren't you, Mama?
Okay, and they go in the capsule. Ben, Polly, let's meet the Daleks. Christopher Barry. There we go. And Martha's come to stand on the telesnaps, because Martha is interested in old television. Are you going to sit down, Martha?
No, just books.
No, just walk on it. Okay. Well, excuse me, Martha, if you could remove your bottom. Martha. Lisa, if you could lift her up, thank you. And there you are. There's Doctor Who. The early years. Bye-bye.
Bye.